Nick Darr here with Big Z Media. Hope you enjoy the episodes of Business Over Brew, and pleased to have the Riverbend Growth Association as the sponsor of this program. Our missions are kind of the same. Really, we're attempting to educate people about business, foster business in the Riverbend community. The Big Z has been a member of the Growth Association forever, probably back to our inception as a company almost. We have always been members of the Growth Association, have gotten a lot of benefits from it. There's so many networking opportunities you can take advantage of. I've met so many great people just because I've been a member of the Growth Association and taken advantage of all the events that they have, plus just some of the resources they provide you, the relationships you build, just lots of great reasons to join the Growth Association. They do a lot of great things in the community as well. They highlight a different nonprofit every month. So really, they're just invested in the community here, and especially the small business community, which is what Business Over Brew is really all about, which is helping the small business community, because it's so important to any community to have a thriving business community. And the Growth Association has really helped with that. If you want more information about joining or events that might be coming up, they have events all the time that you should definitely take advantage of. I'm going to give you the website to go to. Just head to growthassociation.com. You can get a membership directory. You can see who's taking advantage of it. You can see about the events that are there, learn more about possibly becoming a member, or if you already are a member, you can find out what's going on with the Growth Association at growthassociation.com. So just again, big thank you to the Riverbend Growth Association for sponsoring Business Over Brew. Welcome to Business Over Brew. Nick Darr here with Jennifer Capler, the DM woman. I'm going to say that slowly, so we'll talk a little bit in a second about how the name of the business and the story behind that. But just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I am Dr. Jennifer Capler. I have a Doctor of Management and Organizational Leadership, and I am a word slinger and a leadership coach.
Word slinger, I really like that term. That's the technical term for it, would you say?
It's one of them. I liked it better.
So how did you get into that business? What attracted you about that?
I love writing, and I'm good at it.
Mm-hmm. Probably had to do with a lot of that, getting a doctoral degree.
And that's actually what started it, was doing the doctorate and doing all the writing,
Sure.
all the research and the writing. And I dig head deep into everything, and I come out on top, and it sounds good, and I'm like, awesome.
I love writing. I love the topic of writing. I don't necessarily know that I love doing it, but talk about your process and just some of the tips and tricks of the trade, I guess.
Well, as a content and copywriter, it is just delving into another person's perspective and world and getting their mannerisms and their voice and putting it on paper.
Sure, and talk about just some things that you do. I know I always feel like one of the toughest things to look at when you're writing is just that blank screen. So what are some things you do to get started?
I ask them what they need, when they need it, and if they have any restrictions, and I just go. So I'm ADHD and autistic, and it doesn't take me much to get started.
So tell us a little bit about the personal story, going back, maybe not to the very beginning, but just all the way through to today.
Well, for the DM woman, my friend and I were sitting on my porch, having a conversation about possible business ideas and business names and what to do. And at that time, we were both working on our doctorates, and my husband had walked past and was like, there's a damn women. And we both went, I love it. And so it kind of stuck.
So does DM, that's what it came from? Or does it stand for something too?
It does stand for Doctor of Management.
Gotcha, okay, makes sense. No, I'm with you. So what motivates you to succeed in the business? What's the why behind what you do?
Because I suck at being an employee. That's really it.
That's why everybody gets in the...
I am a serial entrepreneur. With the ADHD, I get really antsy really fast. So if I don't diversify myself, even in my own business, I tend to get bored really quick. So
talk about getting this business off the ground and some of the hurdles and just some of the concerns that you had when you started.
Hurdles was coming out of the witness protection program and actually stepping out and because I don't like being the person in front. That's why I like writing so much. I like being the person in the back. The two, because I'm also the leadership coach, I am with people personally. And so there's a crossover.
So I'm really just using this show as personal advice for me because you're a leadership coach and you're a writer. So talk about just some of the principles that you teach from a leadership standpoint.
Authenticity. Be you first and foremost. So I had no idea. I was
Joe's been telling me that for years. Just,
well, and there's a lot to it. If you're not true to you, other people are going to pick up on it and be like, I don't know about this person. They're a little, something's off. So if you are genuine and honest with yourself on who you are, and then you portray who that person is at all times, people just, I always say people hate me, but really they love me. And it is a two-way street. They either love me or hate me. There is no in between, because I have a mouth and I'm honest and, and I'm blunt.
for me, that kind of came with age too, and figuring out, who am I? Instead of trying to be something, it was, as you age, you kind of do figure it out a little bit, and you recognize that not everybody's going to like you, so you just have to, you do have to have that authenticity, like you said.
Yeah, I was always this way.
You were born. I was not.
I was born blunt.
What's the most rewarding aspect of your career?
Setting my own hours. It's seeing it grow, seeing my own business evolve, and really take on the areas that I really want to go. With leadership, it's the communication, emotional intelligence, and authenticity. And with the content writing, it's just delving into other people's worlds, because I love it.
You've obviously had to get out of your, I'm not crazy about this term, but had to get uncomfortable and get out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Hell yeah.
You mentioned you like writing, but not necessarily, but when you're the business owner, you've got to be the top representative of it too.
And I lack in certain areas of my own business when I tell other people, you really should have some nurturing emails. I don't have any myself.
Right, sure.
Yeah, it is hard to get out of my own way and actually get stuff done. I live by my calendar.
Right. We talked a little bit, this will be a tough question, but what's been the biggest challenge you faced in the business so far?
My husband's death. Mm-hmm. That was a really pivotal reflection time. Like, I just dropped everything, stopped everything. When I finally had my mental capacity back, because that kind of disappears for a little while, I actually took a long, hard, deep look at where I was going, what I was building, what did I really want. And I realized it wasn't anything where I wanted to go. And since I made the pivot, it was a critical turning point, because since I've made the pivot, I've grown a lot.
I was going to say, it seems like there's been a lot of growth from that experience. Talk about just the mindset of that, first of all.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, because it's, part of my language, it's a total mind it rocks your world when you're not expecting it.
Right.
And so I'm also a certified neurolinguistics programming coach, master coach and trainer. Mm-hmm. And it deals with the neuroscience of the mind.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds pretty cool.
It's like connecting your conscious and your subconscious, overcoming traumatic past, and it plays a lot into my writing and my coaching. And it's learning how to overcome certain mindsets so that you can grow, to get out of your way so you can have your way. It's like a multitude of things. There's a lot of science behind it, and it's very common knowledge over in Europe, just not here, because there's no money in a cure.
Well, good for you from taking that experience and growing from it, and really, I guess, utilizing it to help your business even. So.
Yeah.
Well, how do you stay current, informed with industry trends? There's a lot of changes in what you're doing, so how do you stay on top of that?
I'm a research geek. If I have subscriptions to all the top people in emotional intelligence, leadership, you name it, I'm in it.
There's been just recent changes when it comes to copywriting and emails. Talk about AI a little bit and the impact you see that having, or
it sucks. Everyone's like, oh, but it's cheap or it's free. Yeah, and you get what you pay for. Like, if you want something that sounds like a robot, by all means go. But if you want something that sounds like you need someone that's going to dig in and listen to you and be you on paper.
Right, absolutely. And the AI is everybody's writing the same thing. So
and the AI
cutter.
Copies and pastes. There's no originality to it. It just takes everything that's out there.
Right. What skills do you think are really necessary to be successful in a business like yours?
Grit.
That's everyone, isn't it?
It is sticking to your schedule, pulling your head out of your ass, and getting it done.
Mm-hmm. How do you talked about sticking to your schedule. What are some things you do to stay organized, stay on task? Because it's easy to get off task as a business
Oh, easy,
owner.
yeah.
And you mentioned setting your own hours, and you've
Yeah.
got to be
Alarms.
accountable to yourself.
Alarms.
So a lot of
I have a little timer, a little puppy timer in the office, and it goes off after a certain amount of time.
How do you handle failure or setbacks in business?
There is no failure. It's feedback. It's all feedback. It's how you look at it. That really is all failure is a chance to learn and grow.
Relationships are obviously a key part of really any business, but it's definitely yours. You probably get to know some of your clients on a more intimate basis than their spouses or their friends or whatever. So how do you foster those relationships?
You listen, active listening, empathy. You know, you have to put yourself in other people's shoes. Walk a mile. Understand their worldview. Everybody has a different view of the world, and it's a matter of being open-minded.
With that said, people have different views, and you're not going to agree with every client on everything. Of course, they wouldn't be paying you for your services if they had all the answers. So when you do disagree with a client or have to deliver bad news to them, how do you go about doing that?
Just tell them honestly, in my humble opinion, and we can agree to disagree and still be friends. So I actually started in political leadership, and there is a topic that it creates a lot of controversy. And I went to many different sides. No one knew what side I went because it wasn't my place to throw those opinions. If it is something detrimental, yes, I will bring it up. But if it's something that I don't necessarily agree with, it's not my problem. Right. I mean, it's really their perspective, their worldview. You know, maybe something will click over and it'll make me kind of think things through, and maybe I'll change my mind, maybe I won't.
What role does innovation play in your business, and what role do you see it playing in the next year, 2 years, 3 years?
Well, I mean, I got to be creative to write.
Sure.
Because if I keep popping out with the same words over and over, someone's going to pick up that all my clients sound the same. So
right. How do you go about doing that?
I just listen to them. Everyone uses different words, different methods of communication, different styles. They, there's little tweaks in their words and stuff, and I'll throw those in there.
So I'm guessing that probably the questions that you ask them are just as important as anything to come up with getting that clear message for them.
Yes. Yeah.
What are some key questions that you like to ask when you're talking to them?
I actually like them to tell me just a story about something in their business, geared towards what I'm writing about. If it's a sales pitch, I want them to sell it to me. If I have questions, well, can you give me a little bit more detail about this? Okay, so do you do this? Or what if we went down this avenue? Throw some things from left and right curve to...
Well, I'm going to steal your question then. Tell me about a time when you had a really rewarding experience with a client and what that was like.
So this would have been coaching. It started off as leadership coaching, and we worked through all the important leadership factors because she didn't believe she was a leader.
Right.
And it kind of ended up going into more NLP life coaching because she had a lot of trauma and a lot of demons that was holding her back. And we worked through some stuff. And she is in another state, so it was all virtual.
Right.
Which can make things more complicated if you don't pay attention to the mannerisms coming across on the video.
Right. And just make sure they have the camera on, number one, I guess, right?
Yes, you have to, yes. And she went from living in a rundown apartment and letting her kids and her boyfriend walk all over her to buying a house and putting her foot down and telling them, nope, you want to live here? This is how it's going to be. That's
a great story, and it's got to be rewarding to have something where...
she's the best, yes.
Yeah. Because in content writing, there's not always a clear, we went from here to here. Sometimes it's not an exact science.
I don't ask for follow-up when it comes to content. I'm like, okay, here's your stuff. And they keep coming back, so I imagine it's working. You know, as long as they're coming back, right? I do have one that their sales skyrocketed during COVID. So they've been giving me more stuff to do.
That's great. What advice do you have for aspiring business professionals that might be thinking about the entrepreneurial route like you've taken?
Make sure you have a support system, and you have the determination to see it through, because there are going to be some seriously hard times, rocky times, dull times times that make you want to just pull your hair out.
I think the percentage of us that have that support system in place, it's probably fewer than it should be anyway.
Yes, yeah. My kids and my dogs will pull me out when it's time to go, and the kids spur me on. So.
I think that's a thing that people don't talk about or recognize when you take this leap into being an entrepreneur or owning a business. Man, you can really be on an island sometimes.
Yes, and sometimes you want to be on an island and you can't.
Right. So it is, you mentioned mentors and having people that you can talk to, just makes you feel a little bit better to know, I think, that other people are going through the same thing that you're going through, and you're not the first one.
And you need a vent buddy.
Yeah, right.
You need that vent buddy.
Absolutely. And knowing, too, that, hey, there's a way out, a way forward here. Mm-hmm. What goals do you have for the future of your business in the next year, 3 years, 5 years?
Publishing books. So I am finishing up a memoir.
Okay.
That's about life happens and life continues, and how I moved through it. And then the next book is actually about leadership, but I don't want to give anything away because there's not a huge topic, and I don't want to be trampled on.
Okay.
Pushing into some of the leadership work that I've been doing and my doctorate and pushing that forward. Otherwise, it's just onwards and upwards, seeing
Awesome.
where it takes me.
Well, it's been great having you on the show. We certainly appreciate it. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Google the DM woman. Just don't click how to DM a woman.
That's great. Jennifer, is there anything we missed or anything that you wanted to touch on that we didn't get to today?
I wouldn't have the first clue.
We'd be out of time anyway, so thanks. Hey, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.